Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my podcast. My name is Santana, and today we will be talking about if we really need rules and laws. Just are they necessary? So, to begin to dissect this topic, let's first determine what a law is. A law is, according to dictionary.com, the principles and regulations established in a community by some authority and applicable to its people, whether in the form of legislation or of custom and policies recognized and enforced by judicial decision. My question to the notion of laws are, how much do we really need them, and how do they shape us or even draw us into a false sense of comfort or perception of reality? So Ned Dobos writes that people who follow laws for purposes other than self-interested ones, such as to avoid punishment and maintain reputation, may be for moral reasons. And if you feel the moral obligation to follow law simply because it's a law, then you therefore have a political obligation to follow the law, meaning that you don't do what you think is okay or right necessarily as an individual, but rather what the government or society wants of you. In all fairness, this isn't 100% the case here, as the government is elected by the citizens, which therefore represents the morals and values of most of the society. However, it can alter or even steal parts of one's individuality, as it allows certain people to blindly follow the laws set by the governing body and justify doing so simply because the government said so. For example, I'm going to go off on a bit of a tangent here. Bear with me. Jim wants to hang out with and be accepted by his older brother and his friends. He goes to hang out with them. They hop in a car and drive to a bridge. The car screeches to a halt, and Jim's older brother, and his friends hop out of the car. Jim naturally follows. One by one, they begin to undress. Then Jim's brother's friend yells, "Cowabunga, dude," and jumps off the bridge. Jim seems hesitant. So his brother says, "Come on, Jim, don't be a buzzkill, bro." So Jim then proceeds to yell, "Woohoo!" and jumps off the bridge. Now let's pause this example. Regardless of Jim's own morality and opinion, he decides to follow his brother and his friends regardless of what they're doing, simply because they said it was okay. This is an example that can be loosely applied to Ned Dobos' work on political obligation, because in this specific scenario, the higher powers, aka Jim's older brother and his friends, made the rules, and Jim felt the obligation to follow them just because they made them. Not necessarily because he agreed or anything like that, but because he'd created the notion in his brain that because the higher powers had shared such values, then he should too. Another thing that Ned writes is that if one possesses political obligation and one of the political laws goes against the individual's morals, they are faced with the task of breaking one of those morals to support the other side. So to relate this back to the main topic of if all rules are needed, we must think about if our morals coincide with what the written law, with that of the written law. So if so, then to follow the laws only makes sense. But what if they don't? Then what? What is the purpose of your life? What makes you unique? Why do your morals differ from that of the law? If not for one's morals and ideas and opinions and actions, then what are they? A bundle of flesh a bundle of flesh wound tightly around a bone structure, destined to coexist with the world just as a ghost would, or even a rock. They exist, but their presence goes unnoticed, and the effect of their life may be comparable to a single drop of water in a greater wave of events being surfed by someone who has it figured out. Now listen, I'm not saying that we should all live like we're in Mad Max with no rules, but and we do need certain laws to maintain order and keep things fair, but what I am saying is that we don't need so many of them, like to the point where it starts to shift our character and individualism as members of the society. If you don't agree with me, then let me just tell you that in Surrey's PEI, it is illegal to build a snowman that is higher than 30 inches. Now that's a dumb rule. And that concludes today's episode on Santana's podcast. Listen, guys, I'd really like to thank you for all the donating and support you've given me. Mostly the donating, though. Really helps me to live off something other than glue and crackers as a food source and sleeping on a cardboard box at night, slightly soggy by my tears. But anyway, that's enough about me. Let's hear about you in the comments. Let's get a conversation going on. All right, people. Until next time.